Welcome back to Savvy Seniors. I'm the host of the show, Mary Dilley, and today with me I have Sarah Sunnucks from Smith's Funeral Home. Sarah is one of our favorite guests on the show. So for those who missed the last episode, because you were in season 1, tell us what you do at Smith's Funeral Home.
So I'm a licensed funeral director, but I specialize in pre-planning, so that's helping families plan ahead. And then I also help afterwards, like after everything's done and settled, I help them apply for Canada pension benefits. I do what we call aftercare.
Okay, so you're a funeral director though?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And what's the norm these days? Are more people choosing everything ahead? Are they coming in when they're healthy and happy and pre-planning?
I think because people are living a little bit longer, they might not be coming in at a certain time ahead, or they want to come in and they have it on the back burner. But definitely I'm seeing a lot more people come in ahead to get information, because a lot of people are hearing things in the news, they're hearing things that are happening, they might be wondering what changes are happening in the funeral industry, and so we have a lot of information to give families.
Right.
They're getting that ahead. But definitely the most people I see is after a diagnosis, or if they know something might come up sooner than later, they do want to get information for their family ahead.
Okay, so was I weird? Because I came in my 60s, healthy, happy, picked out my coffin, my cardboard coffin, made all the arrangements, paid for everything. So is that not normal?
So it is normal, but I think in your situation especially, you went through a situation where you knew how important it was, but then we also had a conversation and you said, finally, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure I'm going to do this. You made an emotional decision, right? You're thinking of your kids, you're thinking of what might happen, and so we make emotional decisions. We go shopping when we're upset, clothes shopping.
We go shopping all the time. It's called retail therapy.
That's right. And the same is for any decisions around the funeral home. If someone has just passed away that you knew, then you start to think about yourself, right?
Yeah.
What if something happened to me? So definitely there's a lot of scenarios where we have people come in your 60s. I just had someone come in their 40s. So It can be different reasons. Definitely that person had just gone through an estate. They had to pay a whole bunch of probate. This person is single, no children, and they just thought, I do not want this for my executor.
You know what I think triggered me was I got COVID and literally almost died from it. And I was thinking, when my parents died, I had to pick out their coffins and their clothes that they were going to wear, and that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I think that's when I said to myself, my kids are not doing this. I'm picking it all out, I'm paying for it, I'm organizing it with you, and then that'll just be done so they don't have to do it. So you're right, it is a very emotional decision, but it was so easy.
A lot of people think that if they go to the funeral home, they're going to be pressured, which I can understand in other funeral homes that might happen, but there are funeral homes that aren't pressured.
Yeah.
I think of myself as an educator. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you lots of good information. I'm here to talk about not just your casket and what you might wear, but I'm also talking to you about, cemetery, wills, power of attorney, CPP, a whole bunch of things with you, and trying to make sure that you know the big picture of what might happen. And then people go home, they talk, hopefully they talk with their loved ones, and then they come back. And if they do want to make a decision where they prepay it, that money is then placed in a trust, and then they know when the time comes, they don't have to worry about their family not knowing.
Yeah, and I loved that so my money that I paid is in a trust somewhere. If something happens, if I change my mind, if I die out of state, if I go down in a plane crash so there's nothing left to be done, my kids get that money back.
That's right. So it's cancelable. You can cancel it at any time. All of the money does go back to you if you're the one canceling your own prearrangement.
Right.
But also if, let's say, you pass away and your executor didn't know you had a prearrangement, with hopefully that kind of makes its own problems, but they need to cancel it for whatever reason, that money would go back to your estate, and the funeral home doesn't necessarily keep any of that money for themselves because it's your money, it's in a trust.
Right. If you could help families do one thing, and I think I know what it's going to be, is it the sitting down and talking about this before Like just to have the conversation of, in 20 years, Mom, when you die, what do you want? Because we talked about your mom's wedding gown, or her first piano recital dress.
That's right, yeah.
That she wanted to be buried in, and you didn't know anything about that.
I had no idea that's what she wanted, yeah, until I opened up the bag and saw that it was her dress, and I said, what was this dress about? I don't recognize it.
Yeah.
And she said, this was the dress I wore at my first recital, my large recital. My mom's a pianist. And so I would have never picked that dress for her.
Yeah.
But because she picked it ahead, then it's so much easier for me, because I don't have to worry about it, and B, I know it's the one she wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And also, I went into you and I said, this is what I want. I want to be cremated. I want this. I want this. I don't want my kids there at the cremation. And then you started telling me about all the other different options. Like there's the natural option. What else? Oh, going up in firecrackers or something. But but I'm really interested in that natural burial. Mm-hmm. So what's that all about?
So we do have some options in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They are still quite limited, but there are some options. One of the newer options is what we call green burial or natural burial. Okay. So the idea is that we want to have as little carbon footprint as possible, especially in our last decision in life, right? So the idea is that we're going to take your body, we're not going to add chemicals to it, we're going to place you in a green cemetery area, and then we're going to make sure that that body goes back to earth as naturally as possible. There's not a monument, the ground is all foresty, or it has wildflowers and things like that, and the idea is that everything just goes back naturally, so as low carbon footprint as possible. So Smiths happens to be on the Green Burial Council, which means that we're a part of a group that is trying to support this green initiative.
Okay. That to me is very interesting, and in fact I almost might like to revisit the cremation thing because I like the sound of that.
Yeah, there's lots of things to think about, and with green, it's something you do have to think about ahead. A lot of people, when they're in the moment and a death has just occurred, it's hard for them to think of all these other options, right? So it is something to talk about ahead. If there's something I really want people to know is that you don't want to leave your last decisions to your loved ones, because they're not in a place to make those decisions properly. And you want to make sure if you make the decisions for them, then they don't have to make them in an emotional state, right? Yeah. So it saves them money, because we do overspend when we're emotional.
Oh, for sure.
But it also, if you don't make the decision, they have to, right?
And that is not fair. That's what triggered me, was that I didn't want my kids to have to do what I did.
Yeah.
Because of course I bought, the most expensive casket for my mom.
Of course.
Yeah. Not so much for my dad. Poor dad. He got the same color. It looked almost the same, but wasn't as nice.
Yeah, and we want to protect our children, right? We want to protect our loved ones just like we do every day with everything else in life. So this is kind of that gift as well.